recent accusations of sexual misconduct against a local teaching assistant spark a larger conversation about listening to children when they speak up. Good evening, I'm May Benda.
And I'm Juliana Chavez. As Ripley Parati reports, the situation has been raising larger issues about the culture surrounding schools and children's safety.
A teaching assistant has been placed on paid administrative leave at the Trails Outdoor School in Ashland after reports of sexual misconduct with minors. The first incident occurred 2 years ago in 2022, but was never reported to the school due to what the superintendent referred to as a glitch in the cross-checking system between law enforcement, the Office of Training, Investigations and Safety, or OTIS, and the school district. 2 weeks ago, there was another report that a parent brought to the attention of the school. Police Chief Ty O'Mara was asked for comment.
There's one thing that happened at the local YMCA 2 years ago that was reported, and there's another thing that happened up in the Mount Ashland area. I'm not aware of anything off the top of my head that happened in a school.
Last Monday, the school hosted a community forum to discuss the issue, with many parents unhappy about how the incident is being handled.
There was a glitch, and this is how we found it was reported. The entire state of Oregon is potentially susceptible. Every school in this state, and I want verification that that is not the case, that there aren't an abundance of reporting gaps.
Parents expressed their concerns with the district's reliance on cross-checking between different organizations, with some arguing that yearly background checks for all school district employees could prevent these situations in the future. However, Tammy Pitson, Executive Director of the Children's Advocacy Center of Jackson County, says these measures may still not be completely effective.
People who offend in that way look for communities in which they could offend. They're able to manipulate situations to, it's called grooming behaviors, and it's not just with whomever they want to sexually abuse or sexually offend, but it's really a whole community.
Susan Moen, the Executive Director of the Jackson County Sexual Assault Response Team, cited larger problems tied to the culture of schools.
I think one of the issues that we see a lot is there tends to be, because of the way of our society tends to consider youth less credible than adults, there tends to be this sort of knee-jerk minimization of kids who say things. I have teachers who have still said, it's just because he likes you that he's doing that bullying behavior, or you don't want to get him in trouble, do you? If we continue to treat kids in that way and say that their voices, when they're voicing concerns, they are not to be listened to, or they should just suck it up and deal with it, we're going to miss instances of kids in actual unsafe situations. And we're teaching them that, yes, we want you to speak up. We're telling you to speak up, but when you do, we won't listen and we won't do anything.
If you have any information about this case, please contact the Ashland Police's tip line at 541-552-2333.
That was Ripley Parati reporting. As we move into warmer days, Rogue Valley agencies are preparing for fire season. Eric Chandler reports on a new program recently rolled out, Ashland Fire and Rescue.
Spring has arrived in southern Oregon's Rogue Valley. With warmer weather on the horizon, some of our thoughts are on the drier season to come. Smoke and fire have become part of life here, so what can we do to prevent tragedies like the Almeda fire? We stopped by the Ashland Fire Department to get updated on a new program designed to help keep our community safe.
Community Connect is an online database where both residential citizens and businesses within Ashland can provide emergency contact information or relevant information for emergency responders within the city. They can put information such as their name and cell phone number, any special medical needs, their pets, location of their utilities at their house, that sort of thing. That gives us information ahead of the incident that we might not have had. That's going to allow us to provide better service, more efficient and effective emergency services.
Basic safety measures are recommended to help reduce fire hazards at home.
Some things that are easy to do to make your homes more fire safe before fire season are cleaning the leaves out of your rain gutter, and cleaning the initial 5 feet around your house, removing any leaves, pine needles, anything of that nature would be a really good start.
Ashland Parks and Recreation also began fire season preparations with a series of controlled burns on the Lithia Park hillside area earlier this March. For more information on Community Connect or fire preparations, go to the City of Ashland Fire and Rescue homepage. Agency and citizens' combined efforts may be our best bet for better outcomes in the future.
That was Eric Chandler reporting.
4 recent Southern Oregon University graduates are in the Oregon Shakespeare Festival this year. Each student took part in the Acting Partnership Program. Tanner Smith tells us about the program and the way it affected the students.
Since 2011, Southern Oregon University's acting program has been working closely with the Oregon Shakespeare Festival in a program that gives students more practical experience on stage. For more insight into the impact of the program, we spoke to 3 recent SOU graduates.
My name is Nicole Villavicencio Gonzalez. I am in Macbeth this year. The program is so strong. It's almost competitive, I think, with like some strong conservatory programs. And it's just because of how closely knit they both are, the festival and the theater program. I took stage combat from the resident fight choreographer at the festival. There were so many classes that I got to take here that were like already tied in with the festival without working actively at the festival. So it was just a great opportunity. Yeah. So many different styles and forms of theater that I had never even heard of before. My sophomore year, one of our first shows back from the pandemic, I got to do Commedia dell'arte, which was something I'd never heard of, got to do before, and it was all mask work, and in that show I got to sword fight. It was awesome. So I've learned techniques like Commedia dell'arte and Meisner and Animal and all these different forms of creating art in theater that are so rare to other programs that are just musical theater based or just Shakespeare based. I think this program really allows you to try it all.
My name is Aaliyah Enriquez, and I am in Much Ado About Nothing this year at the festival. The fact that we're so close to OSF, we have access to a lot of their staff also. Joy Dickinson was a guest teacher for my auditioning class, which was super helpful. And having Jonathan Topos teach stage combat, just the overlap of professors and all the knowledge that you're able to obtain in the program. It was really helpful to work with professional people from the festival, and also just the classes that are offered at SOU are so specific. We did do a stage combat class. You learn commedia, and you learn different types of auditions within the auditioning class, and the business of acting class was super helpful, and Jackie Apodaca was amazing at teaching that class. So I think just the overlap and the fact that we are so close to the festival, that we're so blessed to even have access to people that work there as well, was awesome. If you are in Oregon or anywhere around the area, or you want to continue doing theater acting, that's why a lot of people come to SOU, is because OSF is right there. So during COVID, there was a weird hiccup of time where things weren't so accessible, but now that things seem to be moving in the right direction, I would absolutely recommend people to join the program.
My name's Jenny Babish. I'm an understudy in Mackers right now. Like a lot of acting students, the partnership between SOU and OSF is one of the main reasons I attended SOU. It's been really instrumental though for me to feel more prepared as an actor going into this workforce, just having that level of pre-professional experience, I guess. Which SOU, a lot of the focus in the theater department was on preparing students, for if you get in a show, you sign a contract, you treat it very, very much like the way you treat the professional world. And so it definitely allowed me to feel very prepared for what that means and what that feels like to be in a professional space. If you get the opportunity to audition for OSF through SOU, I highly recommend it. I really recommend it because it's just, even just the act of auditioning for OSF is training in itself. Like, you learn how to tape properly, like you learn like how to do callbacks properly if you get invited for a callback. So I super recommend it for anyone.
You can learn more about the productions at OSF this year by visiting osfashland.org. For more about the Acting Partnership Program, visit sou.edu.
That was Tanner Smith reporting.
Students at SOU have some questions about how tuition is being structured. The questions arose after they noticed changes in tuition and added fees. Claire Solstice explains.
Southern Oregon University students experienced a 3.4% tuition increase for the 2023-2024 school year. SOU's standard tuition cost is based on $218 per credit for in-state students. Out-of-state students pay $629 per credit, and students who qualify for the Western Undergraduate Exchange, WUE, pay 150% proportionate to the in-state student costs. I talked to Matt Stillman, the University Registrar and Assistant Vice President for Enrollment Management, about why students may see changes in costs between terms.
I mean, if you're taking, like, if you were to take exactly the same courses fall term and then magically take exactly the same courses winter term with the same modality, the same everything, I'm talking like rinse and repeat everything from one term to the next, it should be almost identical, if not identical. But there's obviously, like, there's a lot of things that can influence that. Like, I mean, course fees, perfect example. If you're taking an online class, it's priced, I mean, that's priced differently than a face-to-face class.
Gabrielle Lankert, an in-state student, noticed increased costs across the board from fall term to winter term, resulting in a $2,000 increase in tuition.
It's really frustrating having the estimated cost of attendance versus the actual cost of attendance. And I'm very financially literate, and I pay attention to a lot of things. So when I notice that this term compared to last term, and then especially looking at fall term of 2022 versus fall term of 2023, there's a huge increase in tuition.
I also talked with SOU's president, Rick Bailey, to see how tuition fees are structured and if that can be a reason for increased tuition.
I mean, I'm suspecting that the way we have that fee structure seems to indicate that it was built on an assumption that students are going to take all face-to-face classes or all online classes, and that's just not the case. We have so many students who are taking, multiple modalities, and so our fee structure needs to make sure that we're not punishing students or disincentivizing students from that option, because it's probably for a lot of our students, for many of our students, that's preferred. And so let's make our fee structure meet the way students are behaving.
If you've noticed increases in your tuition from term to term, check to see if you have course fees or online courses that increase tuition costs. If you have questions, contact Matt Stillman or Rader Student Services.
That was Claire Solstice reporting.
Jefferson Public Radio is losing a well-known host. After 22 years as a classical musical director, Don Matthews is retiring. Josh Rains reporting.
JPR host Don Matthews is retiring in June. He has been on the air with JPR since July 1st, 1998.
Well, I have a background in classical music, and I actually have a master's degree from vocal performance at USC.
Up until his mid-30s, he had dreams of becoming an opera singer and performer. He had done 3 seasons in San Francisco Opera Chorus. He sang professionally in Boston, Los Angeles, and in San Francisco. Around his mid-30s, he realized that he was surviving, but not well enough for a career.
What else do I love? And I love radio.
He especially loved public radio, so he thought that there might be a job that he could do and maybe use the knowledge with classical music.
Not knowing that that's a very rare thing, I went blindly into it.
A recent listener got to meet Don Matthews after an event he performed in.
I just did a concert last week with the group that I sing in, and this woman stopped me and said, I listen to you every day. I wake up to you. I'm so happy to finally get to meet you.
Once he retires, he plans to continue being involved in music and theater in the Rogue Valley. He plans to continue singing with the group he's with now, the Southern Oregon Repertoire Singers. This is Josh Rains, reporting for Raider News.
The Rogue Valley Growers and Crafters Market recently celebrated their 37th anniversary. Raider News stopped by the market to learn more about them and what they have to offer. The Rogue Valley Growers and Crafters Market is a local market that provides the community with a variety of vendors. You can expect to find farm-fresh produce, handcrafted items, and food from a diverse range of cultures at this market. Originally located at the Ashland Armory, this market has relocated to the Science Works parking lot in Ashland. Their annual season kicked off on Tuesday, March 5th, where they will continue to have weekly markets every Tuesday from 8:30 to 1:30 in the afternoon. Along with that, this market will be held every Thursday located at Hawthorne Park from 8:30 to 1:30 as well. I spoke with Joey from Joey's Hot Sauce, and here's what he had to say about the market.
This is a place where you can all gather in one place. You can come here and you can get your eggs, you can get your vegetables, you can get your hot sauce, you can get your salt. It's like a place where you can, it's like a one-stop drop when you can plant your own seeds. You know, they got starters. I think it's a great place. And not only that, you get support from like the government, like with the double bucks that they give, which is really great to help to the community. I think overall the farmers market, we just need more of them, and there needs to be more support. More people need to come out to them.
I also spoke with Andrew representing the Fry Family Farm and got his thoughts on what the market might look like moving forward and in the future.
I think there's a really strong community here in Ashland that's really focused on supporting local farmers and ranchers, and I think for that reason it'll continue through the years. So yeah.
As a symbol of the market being over and time for vendors to clean up, a bell gets rung. This is a signature move for the market and signifies the end. For more information, you can visit their website at rvgrowersmarket.com.
The sun is out, the flowers are blooming, and the gardening season is quickly arriving. At the same time, the fate of the SOU community garden space is still up in the air. Shelby Huggins reports.
Earlier this month at Southern Oregon University, a meeting took place to discuss the status and future of the SOU Community Garden, which is currently closed due to a lack of management and funding.
There was some coalition forming about how community members can support some of the ideas that students have around some of the indigenous efforts. So that was really important to kind of build community of who's interested in the space and have them meet each other.
All involved parties are still on hold, waiting for movement within the institution. One of the obstacles has been the misalignment between the fiscal year and the gardening season. The institution is limited in decision-making until the fiscal year ends after spring term because of finances. On the other hand, the spring planting season is quickly arriving, and community members who have tended to plots previously are eager to utilize every moment of the growing season.
Those are some of these like intangible qualities of when people say we want to build community. It's like, where do you do? Is it like a mix like you make with pancakes? No, it's this kind of interaction with people over time. And that's one of the things that's been nice here is that a lot of these people on this side of the garden, we've all been here for 7, 8, 9, 10 years.
One proposal is for the Shasta to Kelma Learning Garden, where the native foods and medicines will be grown as a collective effort. This requires long-term planning, development, and funding. Outside of this, the Sustainability Collective, created by SOU student Elizabeth Atkinson, has proposed that the space be used for a collective creator commons.
My kind of dream for this space, and pretty much for all community garden spaces, is for them to be more public food forests. I think that gardening really breaks a lot of barriers, breaks a lot of separations between cultures and ages and worldview. I know that any day that I were to say, all right, we're going to have a garden work party, be there at this time, that they would be there, that they would be ready to work. That's just really cool that there's no, I need to be compensated for this work. It's just purely out of love for the land and for the community.
We don't have all the answers, but I think it's great that there's a group willing to work together, both in the short term and in the long term.
I think the feeling of just being in a space that is green and that is tended to gives you a sense of just like a lot of peace and a lot of joy because it's ancient, it's in our blood.
Even though the garden is currently closed, it is still bringing together people who love the land. Thank you for watching Raider News, your local news source.
Stay tuned for weather and sports following this commercial break.
Do you know where you are at any given moment in the city of Ashland? Would you be able to evacuate quickly and safely if an evacuation order was given? Evacuations are an unfortunate reality where we live in Southern Oregon. Wind-driven wildland fires, floods, earthquakes, and any combination of natural and man-made disasters could be the reason that you and your family might need to evacuate at a moment's notice. To help everyone be better prepared, the City of Ashland developed an evacuation zone map, complete with zones and normal evacuation routes for citizens and visitors of Ashland. Learn the zones you are regularly in to be better prepared. Visit the City of Ashland's website at ashland.or.us/betterprepared and click on the evacuation zone map. Know your zone.
I learned that there's really nothing that's too hard.
It's just a will to win, wanting it more than the person you're going up against.
The responsibility's on you to get your homework done and to get your schoolwork done and whatever other responsibilities that you have.
What you put in, you will get out of it. And I think that's like the most rewarding thing that I took from being a student athlete here at SOU.
You know, you're leaving your home, your family, but you're coming here to your new family.
I'm very thankful to all the folks who donated to helping out with my scholarship throughout my ride here. You know, it makes the world a difference to people like me.
Knowing that SOU is a rising program no matter what sport it is, just as a school in general and as a community, this is a great place to be.
SOU!
Good afternoon and welcome back to Raider News. It's starting to look like spring again in Southern Oregon. Here's Avery McQuaig with a local weather update.
Good evening. Jumping in this week's weather radar, we got up here in the Northwest Pacific regions, primarily in the Washington area because it is clear here in Southern Oregon regions. There is some precipitation that will likely fall down later this week, and moving on to the 7-day forecast. It is very gorgeous once again. It starts to cool down Wednesday and Thursday, but unfortunately, once we get later on to Friday and beyond, it does start to get into the 50s. So just a future notice, if the rain does fall down, please stay safe on those roads. Back to you.
The Southern Oregon Raiders women's basketball season has come to a close, and it was one of the best in program history. With the recap, here's Anessa Villanueva.
The Southern Oregon Raiders women's basketball team closed out their season at the top of the Cascade Conference in the regular season and doubled down in the conference tournament. Ending the season with a 28-5 record and going 20-2 in the conference, the Raiders became regular season champions for the first time in 7 years, as well as Cascade Conference tournament champions, on their way to being hosts for the first 2 rounds of the NAIA National Tournament. I was able to speak to the head coach on how the team prepared and persevered through this season.
You know, we've always been picked behind people. We've been, a lower seed, and so they kind of just played with that. We're going to prove that we're the best team in the conference twice, and I think that was kind of the motivation moving forward. As this isn't a fluke, and they just, all week again stayed focused and wanted to do it again for each other. I think that was the big part of it, is when you're not playing for yourself, but you're playing for other people, that motivation is going to be there.
SOU ended the regular season finale in style with a game-winning basket with barely a second left on the clock from Cammie Walk.
I kind of knew that Coach was going to draw something up for me, because typically at the end of the game she
wants to put the ball in my hands. So her dad was actually here that weekend, and he typically helps with like plays and stuff during timeout. So I knew that the ball was going to be in my hands. So I was kind of just preparing myself. When I saw what play we were going to run, I was like, okay, like I think this is going to work. And then we got out there, and just like seeing how they matched up with us, I was like, oh, I've got this girl one-on-one. Like, I can take her. And yeah, I don't know, just everything kind of went as planned, and the ball went in the basket, and it was just an amazing feeling, especially on senior night with like all of our families there and stuff. So yeah.
The Southern Oregon Raiders women's basketball team put together one of the best overall seasons in program history, and they are looking to catapult this momentum into the NAIA National Tournament and further onto next season.
That was Anessa Villanueva reporting.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Juliana Chavez.
And I'm May Benda. This is Raider News signing off.